Welcome to the Smart Drive podcast, where driving expertise meets real chat. My name's Simon Horton, an EV enthusiast and advanced driver.
I'll second that. You're pretty good, you, Simon. And I'm Ashley Neal. I'm a driving instructor by trade, but I do tend to just dabble a little in YouTube videos occasionally. How are you, Simon?
I'm pretty good, thanks, mate. Pretty good.
Good.
It's been a reasonably quiet week, but I'm grateful for those sometimes. How about yourself?
Yeah, pretty good. I'm a little quieter at the minute, but quieter just means I can sort of like spend my time doing other things. So I'm not really quieter. I've been out on the bike this morning. This is a little teaser for a video coming up soon that I've just in the process of editing. To be honest, I'll probably finish it off later on and be up till probably midnight again. So that's sort of what I mean. But which is faster from my house to the centre of Liverpool is 6.5, 7 miles. Mm-hmm. What's quickest? Bike, public transport, or car at 8 o'clock in the morning?
Oh,
what do you think?
I mean, there's the 8 o'clock in the morning. The number of filtering you could do on a bike. It's got to be the bike, surely.
I'm not going to let you know.
I knew you wouldn't tell me.
But that's a little experiment that I've just played and I'm in the process of just putting together. So sorry, I'm going to plug that one, but that'll be out shortly. It's an interesting one as well, to be honest. But that's all I've been doing, really.
Yeah, it reminds me when I used to cycle to college. So when I was in my teens, I was a Lancashire lad, as some people can probably guess from the accent, but I used to cycle from home in Atherton to college in Wigan, and some of my friends that were better off than me had a car, and it used to make me laugh. I'd always beat them to college because it was just so much quicker to be on the bike and get through the traffic that way.
People don't realise, and that's a little bit about what the video's about. I did make a little observation on the way home, though. From going into Liverpool city centre, obviously I've got to come back. I didn't cheat and take the train. I cycled back as well. How many cyclists do you think I saw on the way home? And we're talking probably from 8:45 to about 9:30. So it's still quite a busy time. How many cyclists do you think I saw on my way home?
Oh, not a clue. 10.
Two.
Blimey.
Why is Liverpool such a poor cycling city? I don't know what's cycling like round you. I suppose with where you are, Simon, you'll get a few people, going up on the hills and bits and bobs. Would that be the case on the bikes?
Yeah,
see many?
I wouldn't think there's a lot of cycling enthusiasts using it for commuting, just because it is so much more hilly around here. And to answer your question about Liverpool, I can't remember seeing many cycle lanes or cycle paths while I was in and around. Certainly not compared to other cities I go to.
No, it's not brilliant. And I think I've mentioned it a few times on certain things. They seem an afterthought. Much of the cycling infrastructure is just paint. It's not very well maintained. It's pretty poor, and it doesn't say, go and take your bike to work. But anyway, that's it. That's my day. I've done a little bit of training. Like I said, just dived in, and then here we go. And I'll probably be up till midnight editing videos, but no complaints. Keep on trucking.
Good. So we do a couple of throwbacks to previous podcasts.
Go for it, if you can remember them.
Yeah, well, I'll don't worry. I'll jog your memory. I know you're getting on a bit now, and things are getting
absolutely.
Yeah. When we were out and about in my motor, I was quizzing you on the hardest driving tests, and you suggested it might be Germany or it might be one of the Scandinavian countries, but actually, according to my research, it was Japan.
Yep. So I did remember.
Yeah. So I thought. I made a statement that, according to the Google, I said that you would fail for doing 19 miles over the speed limit. So I thought, well, hey, that's got to be wrong. So I've been and had some more deeper think about it, and fell down a bit of a YouTube wormhole. And maybe it's now recommending me lots of Japanese videos about how to pass a driving test. Anyway, it really is difficult. The 19 mile an hour thing was a red herring. That's the almost instant disqualification speed when you're out on the road as a qualified driver. But to pass a driving test in Japan, it's done in, as you might imagine, a very controlled environment, and you have to be very precise about what you're doing. It's worth a watch just to see what you have to do, even to the point of it's all done within a closed course. It's not out on the open road. Having to go around bends at walking pace. If you're signalling to turn left off a primary onto a secondary, you have to come to an almost stop, if not stop, to check your near side before you go to check for cyclists, and then turn in. It's really bizarre to watch the process that you've got to go through, and the pass rate is about 90% of. I think you start with 100 marks, and you have to get something like 90 remaining at the end.
Do you honestly think that's a realistic representation of what you need to do in the real world?
And this is where I was going with it. No, I don't. It seems a really odd thing to do. And we're going back to some previous comments. I think I've said in the past, I passed my driving test in Romania back in the 90s. That was on a closed course, but it was very much a, can you drive it forward? Can you turn it around? Can you drive it backwards?
Yeah.
And where do you put the petrol in? Those sorts of things. But they seem to have gone down that avenue and then amplified all of those traits on a closed course environment to make it really precise about what you've got to do. But in real world, I don't think it prepares them for... doesn't prepare them for traffic.
No. I was just thinking there while you were speaking, I was listening as well, but I would probably say car control is no more than 15-20% of actually what I have to teach most of the time. Honestly, it's not even rules of the road and bits and bobs. Most of the stuff that I actually try and push across nowadays is psychological. I've found that I'm an in-car psychologist more than a driving instructor nowadays. Yeah. And I really do believe that it's how you approach it in your mind that makes you a good driver or not. It's not actually the car control. Would you say that's a fair comment with your experience of the more advanced stuff, Simon, as well? It's how you approach it in your mind.
Yes, it is. Because you can teach the system of car control from an advanced driving point of view. You can teach that, but if you don't teach how or why you're applying it, then it can't become the tool that it's useful for. It just becomes another way of controlling the vehicle and deciding on what to do. Whereas once you've realised the benefits of that and how that becomes part of your mindset for everything, then you can take advantage of that. Of those. But no, the Japan thing was just bizarre.
I was just going to say, I was just going to go back to the Japan thing. Is there any manoeuvring and bits that they have to do? Is there any, like they do in the UK, reversing into a car parking space or parallel parking? Is there anything like that you found out about the Japanese test?
It didn't seem that specific. There was a bit of very tight manoeuvring. They call it the snake, where it's like a 90-degree left followed by a 90-degree right. That's at the limits of the vehicle. So if you clip a curb, then you lose a mark. If you have to reverse, you lose a mark. So you do have to do a lock-to-lock, sort of left and then right. You have to pull up at a marker and be very specific about where you stop.
Precise on where you do.
But it's I watched one video where there was an instructor demonstrating how it should be done, and he sort of comes around this curve bit at 15 kilometers an hour, and then there's a speed limit sign changed up to 60, and he accelerates like a demon to get the speed up and then brakes hard. Right. And that's how they want you to do it, to prove that you can actually accelerate and brake within that close course environment.
The first thing that came into my mind about that S-bend that you just talked about is something that I do find people are pretty poor at. And it's thinking about the steering input that they require prior to arrival at the corner. Now, this is quite a heavy topic, and it's a little bit of a contentious one for me. Have you heard the term brake gear overlap
Yes.
with what you've done with the advanced stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Effectively, just so everyone understands, I don't know whether it is both IAM and ROSPA, because maybe the police background.
It should
but
be because
effectively,
it's in Roadcraft, so yeah.
yeah. Their thinking behind it is so you don't approach in too quick. I get it. So you get all your speed scrubbed off, pick the gear and then go. But I actually disagree with it a little bit, because if you're braking and slowing down, you've got everything slow, you then declutch, come off the brake. There's a period in between that and engaging the clutch where there's little or no control over your speed. Gravity's effectively just taking you. So I actually disagree with that a little bit. What I tend to try and get my students to do is assess the corner, get slow enough prior to it, and then engage the clutch. And once the clutch is engaged and the gear sort of like takes over that control, then back off the brake. That's my little take on it. But I'd really be interested. It's one of these things when I eventually do go off and do an IAM course, and I will. Been saying it for a few years now, but I will get around to it. I'd be interested in their take on what I do, because I'm never going to be too fast into a corner, but I probably don't do it how they would like it done. And I'm just interested in how that would be assessed. What's your thoughts? And do you understand where I'm coming from with that,
Yes,
Simon?
yeah, and I think it's situational. So the way that I was always taught about brake gear overlap is that you always have the mindset of trying not to do it, but in certain circumstances, you've got quite a heavy braking zone, or particularly when you're going downhill, keeping some pressure in the brake while you select the gear means you've not got runaway and you've not got that gravity taking over point of view. So, for example, the turning into the lane down from us is quite a steep downhill on a major road onto a minor. You really need to get your speed right down, and if you were doing that to get it to the speed you wanted to, without overlapping the gear change and getting it would be quite difficult to do. But
quite awkward.
But to try it, the ethos of trying to do it as a normal rote and practice, I can understand why it's useful.
Yeah, and that's sort of the reason for brake gear overlap, if I understand the reasoning behind it, is to make sure you speed slow enough. Is that your understanding as well, Simon, that it's to make sure you're slow enough prior to the corner? Because that's what's been explained to me. Is that your understanding of it as well?
Yeah, well, if you break the system of car control down into its zones, position, speed, gear, accelerate, with hazard between things. So what you're trying to do is, I'm getting my position on the road done, then I'm getting the speed appropriate for the hazard that I'm going to negotiate, and then I'm selecting the gear, and there is a then in the middle, and that's the bit that you're trying to separate out. So get your speed down so that it's appropriate for the hazard, if that's a corner, junction, whatever it is. Then select the appropriate gear, and then go around or maneuver around the hazard. What you're describing is where you take the then and you just merge those two over so that those two phases overlap a little bit.
Yeah. Excuse Callie having a little bit of a bark if everyone can hear her. But yeah, the thinking behind what I was saying regarding the people not assessing the steering input, it is for the same reason. Because people treat corners routinely, I hear many driving instructors and say, roundabouts, you approach and you choose second gear. There was, again, a video that I saw on TikTok the other day, and the instructor was telling the student to slow it down to about 4 car lengths prior to the roundabout, select second, and then start observations. How the hell can that fit into every single roundabout? I'm sure there's a roundabout near you, Simon, where it's super open, there's very little steering input, and you just literally go, carry on.
Yeah.
But if an instructor is saying that particular thing to that student's then going to do that same process at every single roundabout. And it is a little bit of a bugbear for me that people don't assess the steering input on the way up to the corner. They arrive there and then they work it out, which I'm sure you've seen many people do that around you on your daily drives.
Yeah, and if you think about the number of incidents that happen on the entry to roundabouts, because second car in the queue is already looking for the gap. If first car in the queue has been following those instructions and slowing down and then selecting the gear, then doing their observations, they're going to be a crash.
Absolutely. So yeah, I sort of get the brake gear overlap. I see the thinking behind it, but it's one of those things that's always stuck in my mind to go, I wonder what the observer's going to say to Ashley when Ashley doesn't then separate things totally. But anyway, I will get around to IAM sooner rather than later. Don't know when, but anyway, I've been promising it for years, like I've said.
Yeah. And likewise, I think it's 2 years since I said I was going to go and do my masters, and I still haven't done it. But I have promised myself that in the spring I'll engage and go and do my masters. Just because I want to. I want to see what qualification I can get, and see just how much emphasis they put on progress where I wouldn't normally.
You know what? I think you know me too well as well, because that's another question that I would probably challenge them on. If there's an opportunity to overtake and I feel as though I don't want to, I will just go, I don't want to. I'm not holding anyone up. I'm just going to stay put. Yeah. And I would like to see their reaction to me doing that as well, and see whether, we've talked about it many times, see whether they can evidence why they want us to do that. I sort of understand why, because there are situations where you may have to overtake and you may have to, or what you should really be proving those skills to the course of observer. Yeah. And, they're trying to assess and make sure you can do them. But I can overtake, but just rarely be bothered nowadays. That's all.
Yeah. What was it we agreed was the best way to our approach is you're late for an appointment, but the police are behind you.
Yes, and it's the main piece of advice that I always tell all my Part 2 driving instructors. Going for the driving part of the driving the driving part of the ADI qualification is the second part, and it's the advice that I always give them. It is a nice way to go about doing things as well. Sorry to go on that little bit of a sideways one. I know you've got other things you probably want to talk about, but with your experience with IAM, I thought it was a perfect time to ask, Simon.
No, IAM Masters was on my list of things I was going to talk about, just because with the lights getting darker. No, the night's getting darker. I was not going to do it now. I'd rather do it in better conditions in the new year. But I'll be interested to see how easy it is to apply the system at the level that they want in an EV, in a big 2.5 ton SUV EV at that as well. So it may come tonight, but I wouldn't be doing myself any justice if I didn't go and try.
No, and I don't think I'd be doing my viewership any justice if I didn't go off and compare what I do to the IAM and ROSPA as well. I know you understand. I've got a little bit of a background with Roadcraft. I'm fleet trained as well, so I sort of know that approach. But it's not something that I religiously think. Well, I don't think about it within my driving. I've got my own style and my own way of doing things, but it doesn't necessarily follow their way of doing things. But we'll see.
Yeah. No, it's good. Another throwback to, actually, it was last time ago when we were out and about. I want to confess to my knowledge not being sufficient for our viewers and listeners. So we were talking.
That surprises me.
Well, again, you wouldn't expect any less of me to fess up if I wasn't there. So we were talking about speed of charging, and this is all Smiler Bob's fault again. So we were talking about speed of charging, and I made a bold claim that I didn't think we were going to get much faster than we are now because of the infrastructure cable issue, because of these bulky cables.
Yep,
I'm half right. I'm not going to say I'm wholly wrong, but I'm half right. So I did some more digging because it was bugging me, and the theoretical and specification limit for a CCS connection is 500 kilowatt. So in theory, we can have 500 kilowatt chargers within the existing specification of CCS cables. Done. So
interesting.
So that's quite a bit more than I thought.
And they wouldn't have to change that much as well.
No,
that's probably all we ever need. So I think honestly they've probably future-proofed it. But I think go on.
BYD are about, aren't they? And for anybody that doesn't know, BYD, Build Your Dreams, is the most stupid name on the planet. But BYD, as a manufacturer of vehicles, didn't start with manufacturing vehicles. They are one of the world's largest battery manufacturers. And their EVs are one of the first to use their new chemistry makeup that they're building. They are also a charger manufacturer. They build their own chargers. So they're a bit like Tesla were 10 years ago.
Yep.
And they've proclaimed that they can now do 1 megawatt charging.
I've seen this. I've seen this in the press. Go on, Simon.
So, again, I did some more digging and I fell down a YouTube wormhole and I started watching some of the things. And admittedly, there's not that many Western press articles out there with actual evidence, but there's a couple of people that have been and experienced it. And our viewers and listeners will not be surprised to say, I made a spreadsheet. Of course I did.
Spreadsheets are good.
Yeah.
Useful.
So what effectively I looked at was when they say they do this 1 megawatt charging, how have they done that? So there's two things. They have what they call the dual gun. So you can charge from a port on the left and the right from two separate charges at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
Sounds like cheating.
Yep.
But they also do offer 1 megawatt charging on their top of the range cars at their chargers at certain stations and obviously in certain conditions. But it's been proven, and it's really interesting to see the difference that makes. No, it's not 1 megawatt charging for a long period of time. In fact, in the testing that I saw, they were doing 1 megawatt started off, and then it dropped quite quickly to about 750. And by the time it got up to 70% state of charge, it was down at a really meagerly 400. Well, those numbers are still incredible when we're stuck with them.
They are frightening, yeah, frightening. I've got... Go on, Simon, sorry.
And it just gave me a bit of a... So what does that actually mean? And when we were talking about rate of charge, so these numbers will amaze you. So the car they were testing on has got about 108 kilowatt hour battery, so not dissimilar to mine. You know, it's about 10% difference. When it starts off, it's adding 64 miles of range per minute. And then even once it's at the higher states of charge, it's still adding 44 miles of range per minute. So that means in 6 minutes, you could take it from 6 to 70%.
Wow, that's frightening, that, isn't it?
And they're talking about rolling that out, first of all, into the Australia market. And then generally speaking, what happens is whatever they've launched in the Australia market comes to the UK and then into the rest of Europe. So they're still claiming that they can do this. Now, whether they'll be able to do this using existing infrastructure or whether it'll have to be one of their chargers, a bit like a Tesla supercharger or something, yet to be proven. But all evidence is that they will be offering it, and it will be coming sooner than we expected.
Cool. What do you find? I don't know whether you know any of the prices of the BYD. How do you find the prices of their electric vehicles? Are they pretty reasonable?
Yeah, they're comparable to MGs of the world, most of the other Chinese manufacturers, and again, they've got long warranties. The thing is, like a lot of these Chinese EVs that are coming to this market at the minute, people are worried about after sales and servicing costs, but you know, when they're built right in the first place, an EV really just doesn't need much in terms of servicing and after sales. It just runs. It just keeps going. And
reason why I was asking a little bit of, say, insider information. I know someone who sells BYDs, and apparently there's a bit of a price hike going to happen soon as well.
Right.
They've been running at losses apparently for quite a while. I don't know how much of this information is utter BS or whether there's any truth to it, but it's what I've been told. So It could be utter BS. We really don't know. But apparently they've been running at a loss to get their name out into the market, and there's going to be quite a decent price hike quite soon. Well, sort of makes sense to me on how they've sort of like come into the market with. Oh, they've hit the ground running, haven't they?
Yeah.
BYD.
Yeah. And the number of dealerships that they've taken over where our existing traditional supply chain people have dried up and closed down dealership showrooms, they've mopped those up. There must be one in every decent sized town or city at the minute.
Yes, yeah. They've sort of like in Liverpool, I know a couple of them, and they've sort of like associated themselves with the Ford garages in the area. But if there's a price hike coming, go and buy your BYD as soon as you can.
I have to shed a small tear.
Ashley. Use the code Ashley. No. Nothing. Sorry, couldn't resist that one. Just on that as well. This will probably go out for me after my Volvo raffle has finished. I would like to say a massive thank you to everyone who has purchased a ticket. Tonight, there's a little bit of good news as me and Simon are recording this, that the number of ticket sales has exceeded the price that I paid for the car. Not what I've spent on it, but at least I would have been gutted if the car hadn't made for the charity what I paid for it, because I would have rather just give the money to charity. So it's all good. So thank you very much if you've entered the raffle, and well done to the person who has won it. I will try and deliver it to you if I haven't done already.
Yeah, and talking from first-hand experience, it's a cracking little car. Oh, it really doesn't look like 1,800 quid's worth. It's
no,
yeah,
I love it. I really do love it. Yeah. I would be tempted with buying another one myself, maybe an automatic one. That's the only thing. I'm just probably getting a little bit lazy now, but yeah, I think the car's a cracking thing, and it just shows you don't have to go and spend 40, 50, 60, £100,000 on a car to, get you from A to B.
Very true.
I've got another potential lender. I know I borrowed the Volvo V60 for a little while. Mm-hmm. I've organised another potential lender. Haven't confirmed it yet, but it's potentially I'm going to be borrowing a BMW i5 Estate as well quite shortly, and have a little look at that.
Now, that was on my list, but
I'll come over and see you in it then, Simon. Let you have a little look around.
Yeah. Why didn't I? There was a reason I didn't consider it in the end.
No indicators.
Yeah. No, I can't remember what it was. It was possibly it was so new to the market at the time that I wanted to change. There wasn't any available to test drive or something like that. But I was very tempted.
Yeah. Yeah,
and they do it in an X drive as well, don't they? So you can't.
They do.
Can't afford a 4-wheel drive option.
I think they're going to lend me the really slow M60 version. I think apparently. Right. So should be interesting. We've got a few different ideas for that, so I'm sure everyone will keep tuned in for that one.
Yeah.
But apart from that, it's pretty mundane in my household and my work life at the minute. That's it, really. Anything going on in your life of special interest, Simon? You got anything outside of cars that you're doing that you want to tell anyone about at the minute? Or is it no?
No, not specifically. I'm reluctantly delving into the murky world of model railways.
Cool.
I use my language very choice, because if my dad listens to this, he'll be huffing and blowing, because he's really into it and has his own club in a local village. But it's one of the things my father-in-law is considering as a hobby to replace his fly tying that he's done for many, many years. So I'm trying to help him out with a bit of guidance on that. So not taking it on myself.
You do need other interests. How's Athos? Is he okay?
He's good, mate. Yeah.
Sound.
Yeah, we had a really good run out on Sunday. Carl had gone out with some friends to an exhibition somewhere, so we had a real nice long run it in the woods. He needed a bath afterwards. That's all I will say to that point. Yeah, he was a proper stinky dog after that, but yeah, we had a good thing. He's doing all right.
Absolutely, all good. She's all right. She's a little bit ill at the minute. She was a little bit sick last night, but she slept a lot today. She seemed to have slept it off. She's had her tea well. Just destroying every dog-proof chew and toy that we can think of buying for her. She's got some gnashes on her, mate.
Yeah. Well, they're designed for that, aren't they? We've been really lucky with Athos. I mean, I know he's a soft mouth anyway with being a Labrador, but he's really not been destructive at all, unless you give him something that's tied with rope, and then he'll spend hours undoing the knots. He won't pull it apart, he'll just undo the knots in it.
Well, that's one of the things Callie's been wrecking today. I bought her a big, long chew rope. It's probably about 4 or 5 foot long with all big knots in it like that. And she just shredded it to pieces. So I was cutting bits off and then making it short. It's down to about that big now. But she does love a chew. But she's been really good as well. She's not taken any bits of the furniture out. She's a good girl. She's good as gold. Couldn't have hoped for anything better, to be fair, for a dog. But good. Anyway, she's all right. Good. Have you got anything on your list that's of relevance that we need to talk about?
I think that relevance is probably a good way of saying this, considering the weather that we've had this last week. Is it time for us to do our winter driving tips?
I'm happy to just get involved. You've read my, again, we're psychics, Simon. I've just done a driving special of poor weather. Look out for that for everyone. That one's coming soon as well. But it's perfect time. And it's two great minds think alike, or as it fools seldom differ. Yeah. It's the perfect time for people to be starting to think about what they should be doing driving for the wintry conditions. I know we've had a fair bit of rain and a fair bit of wind over the last little bit. I didn't see anything particularly bad. Did you witness anything out on the roads that you thought, it's not good, or was it generally reasonable?
I had the first devastating drive where the roads have been gritted, so my poor car got salt on it for the first time. I had to apologise to it. But not far from here, the North Yorkshire Moors was heavily hit by snow this last week. There was a cracking news article where Mountain Rescue and various other recovery companies have been called out to a stranded vehicle on one of the passes, which turned out to be an EV6.
It's not your old one, was it?
No. I mean, I drove my EV6 in snow and icy conditions, and it was amazing. Even before I put the all-weather tyres on, it would walk circles around it. In fact, I went to a filming of a fellow podcast of ours, the Smith and Sniff podcast, and that was up in the northeast, and it absolutely bucketed with snow while we were in the event. And the morning after, when it was frosty and icy, my EV6 was just driving around vehicles that couldn't go anywhere. It was great. So whether this was a rear-wheel drive or just badly driven, but it got stranded. What made me laugh was 2 days later, the same news outlet posted another picture of the same car on the same road that just looked like it had been abandoned in a green field because it was blocking the road and nobody could get past it, and the owners were nowhere to be seen.
Good effort. Tell you the interesting one. We've had a few four-wheel drive vehicles in our time because of the many kids that I have. 4 is many before people ask. I know most people know I've got the 4 boys, but we always had bigger people carriers, and then we progressed onto the 4-wheel drives. We had an Audi Q7 and we had a Range Rover, and the Audi Quattro system ate it for breakfast in poor conditions. Really? It was untrue. It was a 59 reg Audi Q7, and it was so good in the snow. It was sort of like how I felt when I put my cross climate tyres on my Focus, that it just gave me so much confidence. And we swapped the Q7 for the Range Rover, and we had some snow the following winter, and it was nothing like the Audi. Blew me away on how good the Audi Quattro systems was, or how it was in the snow. It was brilliant. Have you added sprinkling the snow over in yours to test yours out yet?
No, just the general wet conditions. I did experiment with launch control on a wet road the other day.
Okay. To have a little bit of a shake and a...
No, you know what? You never knew that it was scrabbling for grip at all. You couldn't tell. The only way you could tell was it didn't kick you in the back. To get launch control, you've got to turn off the first stage of traction control anyway, so you get a bit of slip. But no, it was great. And for anybody that thinks I'm just being a hoodlum, this is not me being a hoodlum. I want to understand how the vehicle will perform in poor conditions.
Absolutely. Yep.
And it can help you understand when you do get to that tricky moment what you're expecting the vehicle to feel and do. So I did that. But no, we've not had any ice or snow as yet. We've had the real heavy frost mornings, which really gives me that warm glow of self-centered satisfaction that I can precondition the car either on timer or from the remote app while still having a cup of coffee in the morning while everybody else is scraping the windscreens.
Not wrong. And that, sorry to interrupt, that is the one piece of tech that I absolutely think is brilliant.
Yeah.
It's, if anything has changed how I see about those frosty mornings, it's that. So yeah, sorry, Simon, I had to jump in.
No, you're right. And I know it's not an exclusive thing to EVs, but it is more prevalent as a standard feature on EVs that you can do this, and it does make a huge difference. And it's not just the fact that you've de-iced your windows; it's the fact that you then get in, you've got a nice warm cabin. You're not you're not shivering with the cold. You're not waiting for it to demist the inside of your windscreen. It does make a huge difference. I've not yet worked out how the Audi preconditions the battery in cold conditions. I used to know exactly how the Jag did it and how the Kia did it, but I've not yet worked that out, but I'm certain it will be part of that feature.
Yep. Just going on, you saying I'm not being a hoodlum and, doing it just for, the boy racer in us all. You're absolutely right, Simon. Just on that point, I'd just like to remind everyone, if you do get some icy conditions or you do even get some really wet conditions or snow, first thing that you should do when you start off is check no one's behind you, quiet road, and jump on the brakes and see what type of grip that you've got. Absolutely. So totally get your mindset. And acceleration, it's generally a little bit, I think it's a little more controlled with traction control systems, but it can still put you in a lot of trouble quite quickly if you don't understand how your car's going to react in them conditions. So totally agree with what you do, but everyone just find that little quiet edge of the car park or quiet street to go off and try it, not obviously on a busy dual carriageway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And the way that traction control works on EVs, because of the speed at which you can adjust the torque to the individual wheels, you hardly notice it happening. But it certainly used to be a thing in the bad old days where I had an internal combustion engine that it would be useful to know how that system felt when it kicked in, so that if it lost traction for a bit of a second and then worked it all out, you didn't have to immediately start reacting to it, because sometimes that can be the worst thing to do, is you can put yourself in all sorts of a mess.
Did I tell you the story of my first incident with ABS? I can't remember whether I've told this on the podcast or not.
I don't think so.
It was my Toyota Celica. As soon as I sort of got my first proper professional contract, bought a sports car, and because it had pop-up lights like Magnum's Ferrari, I thought I was cool. Cracking car, by the way. I loved my Toyota Celica. But I was coming down a gentle incline towards a set of lights, quite close to where I live now. Lights changed pretty late, and I went over an inspection grid and my brake pedal juddered all the way down to the lights. I didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue what it was. Took it to my mate at Ancient Motors. I've been taking my car there for over 30 odd years, and said, Howie, my brakes are broke. And he went, you dickhead, that's ABS. I didn't know. Apologies about me swearing there. But that's an honest story. And we talk about, people do, they talk about new tech and, teach your students how to do it properly. Yeah, you should. But the tech then sort of like overrules the other things. For example, how many times have I taught a student in the last 10 years to cadence brake? You just don't need to nowadays, just for normal road stuff. So we are losing some of those skills, but the tech, ABS, is so much better than we can ever operate the vehicle ourselves. So that's probably apart from seatbelts, I would say ABS is one of the best safety inventions over the last however many years it's been invented. Would you say that's the case, Simon? Do you think that's a true statement or getting close to?
I would say it's very true, and it's one of the least obtrusive. It's the safety net, Admittedly, you were in those circumstances where you felt it for the first time, and a lot of people will only feel it for the first time when it's absolutely necessary and it's cut them out of trouble. But again, you have to teach people how to use it, because it's the opposite of how we used to teach cadence braking. We want people, if you're in those conditions and you think you're ABS, let's take snow out of the equation for a second. But ABS in general...
Glad you mentioned that, because I was going to come on to that in a second. Perfect, Simon.
But
quality.
Yeah, in general, ABS works best. If you feel like you're going to need it, jump on those brakes as hard as you can and just let it sort it out, because that's the best way it's going to work. Apart from in snow conditions, and you're going to tell me about snow.
Yeah, snow. Effectively, ABS, all it ever does is lock and then go, unlock. And you never do, or you do very, very little braking. So ABS is rubbish in icy and snowy conditions. So don't rely on it. The only way you should be doing your braking in ice and snow is gently and smoothly and early. And that's it. That's it. It's easier said than done sometimes, though.
Yeah. And I think just while we're talking little tips and hints, and while I do get the smugness of being able to precondition my EV, where do you stand and how do you go about demisting your car on a cold and icy morning, considering you can't leave them unattended according to the regulations?
No, true. And this is an important part as well. It often comes up this sort of time of the year. No, do not turn your car on and leave it unattended, because if someone pinches it, your insurance is not going to pay you out. Insurance companies will often, if it got stolen in a situation like that, ask for both keys if your car has been delivered with both keys. And if you don't have both keys, they might not pay you out altogether. So there's that little piece of advice. I would also say to people, be careful of what I do. I'll get in my car, turn it on, and then because it's keyless, I'll get out of the car and lock it again while it's still on.
Right.
And just sit at the window. I know you can do that if you've got the second key as well, but I wouldn't advise people to do it. Stay with your car, put a coat on, take your cuppa outside, get some gloves, get a hat on, and wait till it warms up. There's no... All right, you're going to be really unlucky if someone's going to come and pinch your car, but there are unscrupulous people who will go off and just look for those opportunities. So don't be open to it.
And don't try to shortcut it either, because I won't be pointing fingers at anybody, but there are people around and about here that will take the kettle of water out and throw it on the windscreen in the morning. Don't do that either.
Yep.
Not only are you opening yourself up to a cracked windscreen from thermal shock, but that hot water will very quickly cool down and then become a pool of ice somewhere you weren't expecting.
Yeah, rubber surrounds as well. It also perishes your rubber surrounds your windows a lot. I must admit, though, I do tend to use warm water for mine, Simon. I know
there's a difference between warm and a kettle, though.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I use a very thin spout on a watering can and just put enough just to cover the window so you don't get loads of pools at the side of your door as you're trying to get in and end up on your backside. We've got a specific brush in our garage as well that's used for nothing other than snow clearing. I know it seems quite excessive, but that's just the kind of driving nuts and nit I am, to be honest. It's a nice rubber bristled brush that's perfect for just pushing the snow off the windows and all your paintwork, and it's not going to scratch your paintwork as well.
Yeah, and I think that this is where you get me twitching, because the fact that you've got one that's specific for that task and it's not used for any other household duties, that's fine, I can cope with that. But it's when people go and get the yard brush out and start pushing snow off, and I'm like, oh, I know it's the right thing to do. I know you better have getting your snow off, but oh gosh. Did you see that clip I sent you of the guy at the car wash?
Oh,
there was a young lad.
Remind me. Were you facing? You behind it, and they were washing the car. Yeah. Remind us what it's all about. I get sent probably 100 clips a day, Simon. So sorry,
but this was probably just me being a nid. I'd gone to the local jet wash only because we're still on a horseback ban, and it pains me to do it, but sometimes needs must. So I was parked up behind this guy, and it was a young lad and probably his girlfriend had got out of this black Peugeot, and it was a Peugeot. Yeah, it must have been a Peugeot, all black, lots of black trim on it. And he started attacking it with the brush. And I mean attacking it like, I'll do a wheel, I'll do a door, I'll do a roof.
Yeah.
I'll do another wheel, I'll do another door, and I'll do a roof. And I thought, oh no. My experience of black paint on a Peugeot is it's not very hard wearing at the best of times, but what you're basically doing is smearing grit all over it.
Start at the top and work down.
And avoid using the brush unless you have to, because everybody else would have been using it on their grubby cars and won't clean it.
No, I didn't even think of that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, but
it made me twitch a little bit.
Yeah, anything else about weather that I can say to people apart from the normal stuff? I'm sure there was something I was going to talk about with ABS. I can't remember, to be honest, but these weather conditions, just do all the normal things. Take a coat out with you in the car. I've got a little rolled up waterproof. I know they're not really warm, but they will keep you a lot warmer than just wearing a jumper or something.
My additional tip to that is get one that's the next size up, so that whatever you're wearing, you can get it out of the top up. So even if you've got a coat in the car and you've been wearing it on the way out and you've got your emergency coat in there, you can stick it over the top. So you'd be surprised how cold it gets when you stood at the side of the road.
Yes, absolutely. That was it. That was the thing that came into my mind. Going back to one of my potential instructors had the crash with cruise control on in poor conditions. Please don't use cruise control in poor conditions. It can upset the balance of the car and cause all sorts of issues. It's a little known fact, that one as well, Simon. I think especially with all these systems are so prevalent in virtually every car nowadays, I don't think many people would read the instruction manual of a vehicle. I don't even read an instruction manual of a dash camera or something that I'm putting together. I'm not going to read it for a car. And people don't read it, but they don't understand the dangers of using cruise control or autopilot or any of the name systems in poor weather conditions. So that's my little rant about that. Sorry, Simon.
No, you're spot on. Side topic, did you see the news article, it may even have been today, that Tesla have found a way of launching full self-driving, according to their standard, in Europe? Because they found, I won't call it a loophole, they found a way around the regulation, because the regulations will change very slowly. So what they've done is they found one of the countries, and I think it's Denmark, who were willing to accept exceptions to the rule as long as they could prove that their systems were future-proofing for future autonomous driving. So they've allowed them to sort of regulate for the future, which includes the current, so that they can deploy full self-driving, which will be legal to use in Denmark. Now, that doesn't sound like a big thing, but once it's done for one European country, the other European countries can say, we also recognise that thing in Denmark, and just it will have a cascade of other European countries. Now, the thing is, that's EU. That doesn't include us.
No, I'm very sceptical. I know you understand my thoughts on autonomous driving. Yes, it will happen, but I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. If a car's capable of doing certain tasks, I think even with your excellent system in your Audi, I think we've proved that there's still a fair way to go before it's going to be able to cope with all situations, like you alluded to brilliantly by saying the road markings, even in the UK, cause probably more confusions with the system. The car could probably cope if the road markings and the road infrastructure was at a better level, but I've got my doubts. I don't know how it can cope with all these situations, and I don't know. I'm sceptical of it, Simon.
Yeah, and even the little things, like when we talked about, I know the Audi can recognise traffic lights, but it can't do anything about it. Somebody said in the comments on the last video that their Tesla, although it can't react to it from a self-driving point of view, it bongs if you're sat at a light and it changes to green and you've not moved off. So it's kind of the next level down, but you can tell the technology's there.
Even that Volvo that had just recently borrowed did the same thing. When the lights changed and the traffic moved in front, it told me. I was like, calm down, impatient.
Did you see my comment about that regards being in the centre of the lane on autopilot?
I didn't know. I did see a lot of comments about that. Sorry, Simon. What did you say?
So I had the same observation back in 2014 when I was using Tesla Model S. Now that was in the good days, Autopilot 1, where it was proper hardware and it was using radar and LiDAR and things like that.
Remember it well, yeah.
Yeah. But I had this feeling that it's hard to describe. So let's say you're in lane 2 on a motorway and you've got your autopilot.
No one else around, and you've been in there for about 15 minutes. Yes, I know what you're like, Simon. Sorry.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. So you're in lane 2.
Yeah.
Reasonable traffic, but you're about to overtake a heavy that's in lane 1. When I was engaged with autopilot on that Tesla, I always felt like it was moving towards the heavy as it passed it. So with a GoPro mounted to the panoramic sunroof, a bit like we did in my car the other week, I recorded a clip, and I've posted the link in the comment section, so I'll post it for this section as well, and watched it. And it didn't do it. It sat absolutely 100% neutral in the middle of the lane. But psychologically,
so it might be us. Yeah,
it's us that think we don't know we're doing it, but we must move ever so slightly off centre to the lane when we're passing something heavy like that. It makes sense. We're being a bit protectionist. But then when you're not in control, it feels like it's doing the opposite way. So I wondered whether the US experienced a similar sort of thing in the Volvo, or whether it was just generally not in the middle of the lane.
No, I don't honestly think it was, because you know about my left knee, right knee stuff, and it does work. I've not found a vehicle that it doesn't work with. And even the mirrors at the side, it was just slightly closer one than the other. It may just have been a little tweak with one of the, I don't know, the cameras or the radars or whatever system Volvo use. Don't know, but it was definitely a tiny bit. We're only talking maybe an inch, Simon.
Yeah.
But
you feel it.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think that there's too many things like that can then just talking back about the autonomous systems. I think there's too many little bits like that need to be perfected before we can let a car loose on the road. Personally, I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, even simple things like speed limit recognition. I mean, the one in the Audi is just appalling. Yeah. It's constantly getting it wrong. Not just reading signs wrong, reading the maps wrong, and it's just not useful. It's unreliable.
Yeah. I did find a setting in Liz's car to turn off the speed limit recognition with the limiter so it doesn't jump on the brakes now as well. So I did have a little find of that the other week as well.
Yeah, there was a similar thing in the Audi, which I had never experienced, but there's a difference in driving style between myself and Carla. I will use cruise control, and she will use the limiter. And the first time that she drove it, trying to use the limiter, she said it was appalling, just because it as you said, we had that tendency to just suddenly go, oh no, the limit's changed, jump on the brakes.
Absolutely.
For no apparent reason.
Absolutely. Have we got anything else on your list that we need to cover at all, Sam? Because we've probably just gone way off script again. How much percentage-wise do you think we've covered?
I would say 50%. I think this is probably one of the bigger hits in terms of things that I thought we could talk about and we actually haven't talked about. That's not bad, is it?
Interesting. And I didn't even know this list. As normal, I've got no clue what list Simon puts together.
No clue.
And it seems though, again, we've just sort of just gone in a direction that we must be telepathetic, I think the word is, Simon, isn't it?
Yeah. Just one final question then, and it's relevant to you, not you specifically, but your industry. So what's your take on the driving test changes that have been marketed in the press this week? And I say marketed because there's been a lot of almost selective hearing from the press about what the changes were.
Yeah. There's in the industry, there's a little bit of people are unsure whether or not that the changes to the booking system are actually going to work. There's not really been much of a consultation by the DVSA about these changes. I've taken that much notice of them. I don't actually know what they are, is what it is. What used to go on, I know bits about it, but what used to go on, a company could then have 20 pupils on their books, and then they could book tests for those 20 pupils. And even if someone isn't ready for the test, they could then swap it to someone else. Now it's only the learner who can actually book the test. That will stop people taking advantage of these certain systems. I don't see why a big company or someone who's got 30 pupils should be able to manipulate the system any more than that person learning to drive with mum and dad. Mm-hmm. So that's my opinion on that. There's been some changes to the driving test. I think it's as from today, as we're recording this, about the faster sections. I know the faster sections that we can use here from Norris Green Test Centre in Liverpool, and one of them's a national speed limit road, which is about 500 or 600 yards long. How much skill do you have to demonstrate to get through that particular section of road? Mm-hmm. How much difference is that going to make to the accident stats of people on country roads?
Yeah.
It's PR rubbish, in my opinion. I don't know how it's going to go and how it's going to end up, but for me, it's normal DVSA. They'll put something out into the press because they are under such fire and they're trying to go, we're making these roads safer. Okay, seeing's believing. That's my initial take on it. Were they the changes that you were talking about, Simon, or have I just gone off onto a different
The reason I was asking is because I saw the headline of the being able to use faster roads, but then when I delved into what does that mean from a test point of view, they're really facilitating that by reducing the number of slow speed manoeuvres that they have to test. Is that right?
Yeah, they've got to fit them in somewhere.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's another issue with the routes round by me. Apparently, a driving test route should be able to be used at any of the test times. Well, I know one of them within the testing phase, at least one of them. Don't know for any of the others, if there are many, but I know one of these test routes was unable to be used at certain times of the day because it was too far to get out. So effectively, they were still using it, but it didn't follow the criteria that the DVSA set.
Right.
There's all kinds of stuff going on, to be fair.
It's a complicated topic, but I was just surprised that there was this disparity between what the headline was, which you say is probably it's DVSA spin, isn't it? We've put out a press release to say this, but then when you delved into the detail, it was saying something slightly differently. The other thing that I picked up on is the examiner can now do up to 100% of the test route using sat-nav.
Yeah. I don't mind that, to be fair. Yeah. Directions from a sat-nav are no different from the examiner. Sometimes the sat-navs, this is contentious, sometimes the sat-nav has a little bit more personality. But in any case, sorry, all the examiners who know, I'm only joking. But there's another little piece that I'd just like to go back to regarding the DVSA's spin on things. They said recently, I can't remember the number of MOD instructors they were about to draft in. Was it 20? Was it 36? I can't remember the exact number again. I paid that little attention to it. But I worked it out that those instructors were able to deliver 0.43, no, 0.043% more tests, or was it 0.43? In any case, it's less than, it's a tiny little bit. Yeah. But the DVSA are putting it out in a press release saying, we're recruiting all the MOD instructors. There was only about 20 of them anyway. Yeah. It's an embarrassment. And it's just been one thing after the next. And it's because the DVSA is so under fire, they're just trying to get a few brownie points. That's my opinion on it. Whether it's the truth, we'll finish it there. Yeah.
And anybody that wants to take their tank test, then you're stuck because the MOD they're now doing civilian driving tests. Yeah.
Driving tests, yeah. Yes.
No, I think that's reasonable.
I just hope those examiners who come in don't say, we just need you to shoot that target over there, please. I'm sure they won't. But anyway.
That's your eyesight test. It's not read this number plate. Yeah. Can you assign this target? Before I close, I'll just give you one fun fact. It's not particularly random because I've got a post-it note in the page, but I thought this was quite amusing. The Ford Cortina. Did you ever have a Ford Cortina in your family?
Nope. No, my dad used to get Ford cars from a local Ford garage. They were sponsored. I remember him having, he borrowed a brown 3-litre Escapri at one point. Of course he did. He had a few Fords, but I don't think he had a Cortina though. But go on, Ford Cortina, I used to love them myself.
I think my dad's had every single mark of Cortina.
Okay.
So anyway, but the Ford Cortina could have been called the Ford Caprino. Not sure whether that would have stuck, until somebody discovered that this was Italian slang for goat dung.
Fabulous. Just on that point then, we're just going to, sorry, I'm just dragging this out a little bit longer. What's your thoughts on the new Ford Capri, Simon? Can we have this in one word, please? One word to describe the new Ford Capri.
Not.
Or you can have 2 words. 2 words. That's all I'm giving you.
2 words. Well, one word was not. 2 words is not Capri. Or not coupe. Or no, they should have left that name alone.
An SUV. Funny. It's not good, mate, is it?
No,
not good anyway.
It's not at all. Not at all. I mean, I've never been. I wasn't a massive fan of Capri, but certainly they should have left that one alone. Anyway, yeah.
I think so.
All right then, matey. Thank you for this. It's been fun as always. And
I've enjoyed tonight. Not that I don't enjoy all of them, but I think tonight's been fun. You put a smile on my face, Simon. Good. So thank you as always for your efforts with putting this together and doing your prep. So thanks as always, mate.
No, it's welcome to do it. And I know we keep saying this, but please reach out to us with feedback and comments. As we've proven in this episode, we do read them and we do respond where it's appropriate, and we can add value, and we will hold our hands up if we're not 100% accurate in what we say, and people put us straight.
Well, Simon does. I don't even read Simon's comments, so you can't trust me to read anything.
Fair. Fair, absolutely fair.
We'll leave it there, Simon?
Yeah, thank you very much for this evening, and I'll speak to you soon.
Take care.